Pain heals. Chicks dig scars. Glory lasts forever.
Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate all your support. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Shout out to the 19. Smash the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. You know you want to. We are going to talk about some interesting things that Candace Parker has to say about the WNBA and about its recent growth and about some of the things that have been going on since, well, without it being mentioned here, since Caitlin Clark entered the league. Unfortunately, we're going to listen a little bit to Stephen A. pose the question, and I know it is like nails on a chalkboard, but we'll get through it together. Don't you worry. So here we go.
When we look at the WNBA, whether we've speculated about resentment or whatever it is, ultimately it comes down to the fact that there were an abundance of women in the WNBA doing tremendous, tremendous work on behalf of the WNBA and the game of basketball. And you just sense that folks were feeling an absence of appreciation for what they had done and what their collective contribution was to bring the WNBA to where it is now and where it evidently is going. Can you speak to that collective frustration that some may have been feeling and whether or not you think it's something that's being overcome as you all thrive and move forward and continue to promote and uplift this league?
My Lord, how does this man get $20 million a year? Please explain to me. Caitlin Clark is phenomenal. She's fantastic. She is an unbelievable basketball player. But anyway, all right, let's go. Let's listen to what Candace Parker has to say about Stephen A's question, which I'm going to discount just because of the way he used the word uplift. There's another word that's been ruined. But anyway,
It's so crazy to me because I'm asked so many times if I'm, resentful in any type of way for where the WNBA is right now. My job was to leave the game better than I came into it. You think Cheryl Miller is resentful for me that I had a league to play in? No, she's being the mentor that she is, and she's supporting and loving and sitting courtside cheering on Juju Watkins. And I'm doing the same for Caitlin Clark and all the women in the WNBA. I think that rivalry is super important. I think conversation is super important. I tuned in when Kevin Durant went back and played Russell Westbrook and they bumped shoulders and everybody was tuned in. But I want to keep it within the lines of the game. And I think that's what's the most important. Now everybody has a Twitter finger. Everybody can have reach to, the WNBA and make comments. But really the key is let's keep it about basketball. That's my thing. And when we do that, then we're able to really grow the game and what it represents. There are some talented players that have been in this league. But now, because of visibility, listen, I still know the Dominique Wilkins. I still know, all of those players, the Dr. J's and all that stuff. I don't think they're not salty that MJ came along and grew the game. I mean, that's what it is. And so I think that the WNBA as a whole is in an amazing place. Now it's about business to me. It's about taking care of business and making sure. I would like to see, and I'll say this in the CBA, I would like to see more roster spots because we can't have 11 or 12 women on a team. You got to, lean into the player growth and player development.
When we
all right. First of all, I agree with Candace Parker at the end about the CBA and wanting to get, say, maybe 14 roster spots, keeping in mind that is going to lower the average salary per player. It's not going to be an add-on. Okay, the salary cap obviously is going to change, but then it's going to be divided by 14. Well, I mean, you can keep less than that, of course, but if you're going to keep the 14, as we have seen this year already, that many teams that would have come in handy, you're going to have to see a lower amount. But I just think this whole thing is really fascinating to me, especially as someone who's been a longtime supporter of other sports. And as many of you have probably already heard me say, I mentioned soccer many times in parallel with what we see in the WNBA because I think it's the women's sport, first of all, being a team sport that most parallels the WNBA in terms of opportunities and trying to grow the game and how long it's taken and the frustration and the players who laid the groundwork and all of that. And then what really makes it fascinating to me, and of course, it's obviously one that I know a lot about because I'm super smart, because again, they're probably I love all sports, and I know a decent amount of them because of just being a fan, and I love to learn the inside workings, the inside game, that sort of thing, inside baseball as it has always been called. But in terms of playing a lot and coaching and officiating and all of that, soccer and basketball are the 2 I know most about, and when I look at the WNBA and what Candace has said, and we've seen this, right? We've seen this in the past year, the jealousy, the unlikability, and everything that has gone on with the league and the eyeballs that Caitlin Clark has brought, and players being offended and pissy about new fans because those fans weren't watching them. And it's absolutely absurd, and the reason I bring up soccer is because soccer had this same fight all of these years, and what she said about leaving the game better than she found it, I heard that a lot from all the greats in soccer, Mia Hamm, Abby Wambach, Shannon Box, all these great players, Michelle Akers, going forward, Carly Lloyd, and I never saw the other side, and I'm so curious about what makes soccer and its evolution different in terms of how players react to what the players who came after them have benefited from is very different from basketball. I've never seen I'm sure there are players out there that, quietly or whatever are like, "Yeah, this isn't fair. We worked really hard too." But I haven't seen that same outcry, that same those same attacks on younger players that have come in and brought eyeballs and benefited from what went on before them. I just haven't seen it. So it's really fascinating to me. And she's got a great point. Now, I think you could have the way she ended it made me think that that was mostly about players, right? She could have been a little bit about fans too when she got into the keeping it basketball and the Twitter and stuff. But as we all know, a lot of players are very much paying attention to what's going on Twitter and clapping back at stuff and getting involved, and you've got players' mothers getting involved, and it is kind of wild, and again, messy, and again, something you don't see in the other league. So it's really interesting, this dynamic that we have going on in the WNBA that really makes it seem as if not only are they resentful of the attention being garnered now, even players currently in the league that were here before Caitlin. I'm not even talking about, going back to the Candace Parkers and so forth, but the players in the league now who have been around a while and have been playing in front of empty stands and to, nobody on television have been very, very resentful of what Caitlin Clark has brought to the game in terms of fans and viewerships. And so I'm really hoping that someone like Candace Parker putting this out there that maybe that gets some of the current players to take a step back and say, "Hey, you know what? He's kind of right. We've got a great I mean, yeah, hey, I'm human. It sucks that people weren't tuning in when, 5 years ago when I was busting my butt, but we can benefit from it now." And to those not in the league like Candace Parker, they can say, "Hey, you know what? Just be proud of that fact. You worked hard, you put in the work, you helped grow the league, and it is what it is." Like it's interesting. She mentioned, Dominique Wilkins and Dr. J and players like that. They didn't make in their careers what some of these truly below average players make in a damn season nowadays. Okay? But they're not out there all the time speaking out against this stuff. Anyway, I just thought this was really interesting. I wanted to bring it to your attention because again, when we can grab on to any little thing that says, "Hey, you know what? Maybe this will help turn things in the right direction." I think Candace Parker making statements like this can help. So smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. Really do appreciate it. Check out some t-shirts if you want to. Hit the like button and go have the day you deserve. And I will talk to you later.